Hi and welcome to this 1 hour STOTT Pilates Matwork session. My name's Noah and I'm going to be your instructor today. This video doesn't have any music playing in the background, but if you would like some music, pause the video now, look at the description below and you'll find a link to my Spotify playlist that you can play in the background while you're doing this class. We are going to be using some equipment today, but before you go anywhere, if you don't have any equipment available, I will be giving you some alternatives that don't require any kit as we go along. If you are going to be going along with the equipment exercises, today we are going to need a Pilates circle of some description, a pole, although we're only going to be using this for the roll-up, and we don't actually need to put any weight or anything like that on it. We're just going to use it so that we can feel what our shoulders are doing. So if you've got a towel or something like that, that'll work absolutely fine. And some kind of pad or block that you can sit on just to lift yourself up a little bit higher if you have tight hamstrings. A cushion's absolutely fine for this, or just nick one of the seat cushions off your sofa or armchair. So with all that said, let's get started. We're going to start today's class with our warm-up, and we're going to start our warm-up with our breathing exercise. So I'd like you to find a comfortable seat on the mat. We're going to sit nice and tall up on our sit bones, and our feet are going to be about a hip's distance apart. Knees are also going to be a hip's distance apart. We're going to relax the shoulder blades down the back, place the hands on the shins, sit nice and tall like the threads pulling up on the top of your head. We're going to take a nice deep breath in through the nose and out through gently pursed lips. And we're going to keep that breathing going throughout this entire session. In through the nose, out through gently pursed lips. We're going to take one nice deep breath in. And then as we exhale, we're going to roll from the head all the way down until we're looking down in between our knees and our back's nice and curved. We're going to inhale here. And then as you exhale, I want you to focus on contracting the abdominal wall and pushing the ab back towards the spine. So we're really focusing on curving the back as much as we can. And on every breath, I want you to get a little bit more curvature. Really think about the ribs expanding, filling the room, but also think about the abdominal wall contracting, pulling the ribs down towards the pelvis. So we're not relaxed, we're actively trying to hold this nice C curve the whole way down through the back. We're going to take one more breath in, and then as we exhale, we're going to roll all the way up and sit nice and tall. And I really want to hear you breathing through this entire class. So don't breathe quietly, don't keep it to yourself. Nice deep breaths in and rolling the whole way down once more. Looking down between the knees. So when we're exhaling, it's forceful and purposeful. We're trying to really expel the air from our lungs. And we're squeezing the abdominal wall like a tube of toothpaste to get that air back out of us. And every time you exhale, I just want you to gently pull up on the pelvic floor. So imagine you've got a little box of tissues and you're just going to pull up on that top tissue. One more nice deep breath in, and then exhale, come all the way up, and then we're going to roll all the way down onto the mat for our imprint and release. So find a nice comfortable position. Our feet are still planted a hip's distance apart, as are our knees. What we're going to do now is find our neutral. So there's a little gap between your lower back and the mat. We're not completely relaxed down onto the mat. We're not chilling out. I want you to roll your pelvis back and away towards your knees. And if you put the heels of your hands on your hip bones and then bring the fingertips together and then your thumbs together to form a little triangle, it should be completely flat and level. So if you were to imagine that you had a bowl of soup perched on top of your pelvis, and it's completely full to the brim, it isn't spilling anywhere. So it's not coming out to the side, we're nice and level, and it isn't spilling over our stomach. So we're going to hold that position. We're going to take a nice deep breath in. And as you inhale, you're going to feel your ribs want to pop out and expand away. What I want you to do is contract the abdominal wall to pull them down towards the pelvis. And then we're going to exhale. And we're going to maintain that neutral. Inhale. Exhale. So what I want you to imagine is there's a little grate underneath your lower back in the mat, and we're going to create the space that that grate needs. Inhale, And now as we exhale, we're going to bring the pelvis back towards the chest and we're going to squish the grape. And then as we inhale, expanding upwards, rolling the pelvis back towards the knees, exhale, and lower the back down, squish the grape. Inhale once more, and exhale. Now finally come up, inhale into neutral. So we're just going to hold this position for a second, and the next thing we're going to do is the hip release. So what I want you to imagine is your feet are made out of lead. They're very heavy and they're attached to train tracks, so they can only go in a parallel line forwards and backwards. So 1 foot at a time, we're going to slide all the way down the mat, rolling the hip, and then bring it back up. We're going to start by taking the right hip out towards the side. We're going to maintain neutral, inhale, knee drops to the side. Slide it away, and then as we exhale, that foot's going to come back up to the top, and then draw it back in. Inhale to the side, push away. Exhale, back up to the top, pull it back in. So the whole time I'm doing this, I'm maintaining my neutral, and as the knee drops to the side, you're going to feel your pelvis want to roll out to the side, but we're not going to let it. We're going to switch directions now. So now instead of inhaling to send the knee to the side, we're going to send the foot down the mat. Roll it to the side, now exhale, knee comes up and back in. Inhale, foot slides away, back up the side and in. Once more, inhaling, away, maintaining that neutral, don't let the pelvis roll to the side, draw back in. Now we're going to switch legs. So the left knee now, inhale out to the side, slide the foot away, exhale, foot comes top and back in. And if you like, as the foot's coming up and back up to the center, you can take it a little bit past the midline, so the knee's kind of pointing across your body a little bit, just to get that little bit of extra range of motion in there. But the most important thing is to keep the pelvis neutral. Change directions. Inhale, foot slides away, roll it to the side. Exhale, draw it all the way up and back in. And you'll probably find it's a little bit tighter going in this direction, because when your foot's all the way down at the bottom of the mat, it's very easy to roll it the whole way over, and then as you come up the hip, it gets tighter and tighter and tighter. And all I want you to do is just relax and ease into it. That's the last one of those. We're going to come back to our neutral, and now we're going to do some hip rolls. So from a neutral position, I want you to inhale. Don't let the ribs pop up. And then as we exhale, we're going to roll the pelvis down, squish the grate, but then keep rolling, keep lifting, and we're going to lift the pelvis all the way up and push our knees away from us. Then from the top, we're going to inhale and then roll it back down. So we're not lifting, it's not a glute bridge. We're rolling, and I don't want you to use the glutes when we're doing this. Inhale at the bottom in neutral. Exhale, use the abdominals to pull the pelvis towards the ribs, and then keep pulling it in. Glutes should be completely relaxed. There's no tension there at all. Inhale at the top, exhale, lower it down. So it's like you've got a string of pearls laying along the mat. We're going to lift at one end, and then one vertebra at a time, getting as much flexion into the spine as you can. We're going to lift the pelvis all the way up. Inhale at the top, keeping the glutes relaxed. Exhale, lower it all the way down. Return to neutral, and then we're just going to flip ourselves over into an all fours position. We're going to do a cat stretch. So our hands are going to be a shoulders width apart underneath our shoulders, and then our knees are going to be a hips distance apart underneath our hips. Your toes can be untucked or tucked, whatever feels comfortable for you. So we're going to go nice and long, like we have a thread pulling up on our head in one direction and another thread pulling on our tail in another direction. So imagine it's pulling your spine out nice and long. This isn't like cat-cow in yoga, so we aren't going to come all the way down into a cow position. We're just coming as far as neutral. I want you to inhale in this neutral position, and then as we exhale, we're going to roll from the pelvis first, and then that rolling motion is going to come all the way up the back, and then finally our head's going to drop. We're going to inhale here, and then as we exhale, again, pelvis comes back to neutral, and then the whole back returns to neutral. Extend the neck nice and long. Inhale, exhale, roll, pelvis, lumbar, lower thoracic, upper thoracic, head. And then inhale, reverse it the whole way back. And now we're going to switch directions. So we're going to inhale here, and now as we exhale, the head comes down, the shoulders round, the back lifts, and then the pelvis drops underneath us. Inhale, exhale, head comes up, shoulders flatten, the whole back flattens, and then finally return the pelvis. One more. Inhale in neutral, exhale, drop the head, round the shoulders, lift up. Imagine you're a cat and a toddler has just come along and is trying to pick you up, and you don't want to be picked up, so you're digging your claws into the mat and your back's rounding out. So now what we're going to do is have a little think about what our scapula are doing. So what I want you to do is plant your feet, plant your hands, and then do what I like to refer to as a crap press up. So very often when you see people who are new to the gym, you'll see them doing press ups like this. So they're moving their shoulders, but not really using their arms very much at all. We're going to keep our elbows soft, but we're not going to move them. And then we're essentially going to do that motion. So we're going to inhale, and we're going to drop our chest towards the ground without bending the elbows. And then we're going to exhale, and we're going to lift our back up towards the ceiling. Inhale, lower it down. Exhale, lift it back up. So what I want you to focus on is the shoulder blades sliding and gliding across the back of the rib cage. We're bringing them together towards the spine, and then we're pulling them apart, sliding around to the side of the rib cage. One more. Inhale down, exhale, lift it back up. We're going to come down onto the mat again, and we're going to do some little arm circles. If you've got your pole and it's to one side, just push it away. Make sure you don't have anything around you. Our feet are going to be nice and flat on the ground. We're going to lift our hands so that the fingertips are pointing up towards the ceiling, and then we're going to inhale, the arms are going to come up above our head, and as we exhale, we're going to circle our hands around on the floor, down towards the hips. Inhale, draw a big rainbow over your body with your hands. Exhale, circle them around. So much like when we did the hip release, you might feel a little bit of tension in the hips here. But that's okay. Sorry, not the hips, the shoulders, because we're doing arm circles, obviously. So you might feel a little bit of tension in the shoulders. If you get to here and you then can't circle around, just lift the arms up a little bit and draw that big circle in the air. But if you've got really mobile shoulders and you can get your hands the whole way down onto the ground, feel free to do so, dragging the fingertips along the ground. Imagine you've got little magnets attached to the end of your fingertips, and then there are other magnets on the walls, and they're pulling your shoulders out of the sockets. You're getting the biggest, widest circle you can manage while keeping control of those shoulder blades. One more big circle, and then bring the hands down towards the hips. We're going to do some elevation and depression of the shoulders. So we're going to inhale, shoulders are going to come up towards the ears, and then as we exhale, we're going to slide the shoulders down, fingertips sliding towards the heels. Inhale, up towards the ears, exhale, down towards the heels. Inhale and up, exhale and down. So essentially we're just shrugging the shoulders, but again, focus on the movement of the shoulder blades. So we're not thinking too much about what the arms are doing, they're just kind of being dragged along for the ride. And this is all about getting the shoulder blades moving and making sure that our chest isn't closed. So we're not bringing the shoulders up and closing off the pectorals, protracting the shoulders. One more there, and then finally we're just going to finish up with the head nods. So what I want you to do is imagine someone has placed a peach between their chin and their chest. You're going to inhale, and as you exhale, you're just going to grip hold of that peach, and then you're going to inhale and release it. Very often in classes, what I see people doing is they jam their chin right down into their chest, and then you get lots of rolls of skin there, and it looks really unattractive. What I want you to think about instead is lengthening the neck. So we're not bringing the chin to the chest, instead we're sending the back of the head up and away, so the neck is lengthening, and then as we exhale, come back in, or inhale, whichever way around I told you to do it. So inhale, lower it down, exhale, come back up. The other thing you could think about is imagine that you've got a line drawn on the ceiling above you, and all you're going to do is look down that line and then come all the way back up. So imagine someone's holding onto your head, so you can't lift your head away from the mat, and all you're doing is just lowering the eyes down to look and then come back up. And it's a really important movement because it helps to protect the neck whenever we do any flexion exercises to make sure that you don't strain it. One more, inhaling, extending the neck, exhaling, returning to neutral. And that concludes our warm-up. So the next thing we're going to move on to is our ab prep. That is the first of our exercises. We are starting in neutral. Our feet are a hip's distance apart, our knees are a hip's distance apart. We're going to have our hands long by our sides. We're going to look straight up towards the ceiling. We're going to inhale and head nod, and then as we exhale, we're going to peel the spine up away from the mat, and we're going to maintain neutral. Inhale at the top, exhale, lower it all the way down. So that's one of the things that people really struggle with this one, is as they come up, they do a crunch. So they come into imprint, and then you can come up really high. We're not doing that. I want you to imagine that being the dastardly individual I am, I've taken a thumbtack and I've put it underneath your lower back. So if your lower back comes down, you're going to stab yourself. So we're going to inhale, head nod, exhale. We're using the abs to bring the lowest ribs down towards the pelvis. We're keeping the chest nice and open, so we're not lifting our shoulders up like so. Chest stays open, and we're looking straight between our knees to the wall ahead of us. We're going to inhale at the top, exhale, lower it back down. Inhale at the bottom, exhale, lift it back up. And this is really good for building control of that lower back, especially if you want to do things like front squats or even back squats. Anything where you're lowering down, and then as you get to the bottom, your pelvis wants to round underneath and your lower back wants to come out of neutral. This is really good for building that control to make sure that that doesn't happen. So our head stays lengthened on the end of the neck. Inhale at the top, exhale down. We're going to do one more. Inhale, head nod, exhale, lift it up. Inhale, exhale, lower it down. And now we're going to flip ourselves over and we're going to do the opposite, the breaststroke prep. So we're going to start with our hands on either side of our shoulders, and then our toes are going to be untucked and the feet are going to be about a hip's distance apart, although you could have them together if you find it more comfortable. The nose is going to hover about an inch away from the mat, and there are two things I want you to bear in mind when we're doing this. Firstly, you're not going to push through your hands. Secondly, you're not going to tense the glutes at all. So our glutes and our hamstrings play no part in this whatsoever. The only thing I want your legs to be doing is maintaining that parallel. So the heels stay pointed up, they don't come in. So we're going to inhale, and then as we exhale, we're going to lift up, 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 like we're trying to look at the wall ahead of us. Inhale at the top, exhale, lower it back down. So you should really feel this in the lumbar spine. You have these two columns of muscle that go down either side of your spine, and they are what is pulling you up, your erector spinae muscles. Inhale at the bottom, exhale, lift, lift, lift. Use that rib connection to pull you up. Inhale, exhale, lower it back down. Inhale at the bottom, exhale, lift, lift, lift. Don't use the glutes, keep them nice and loose. Inhale at the top, exhale, lower it back down. And to make sure that you're not pushing through your hands, we're now going to lift them off. Bring them all the way around towards our hips. Inhale and exhale, lift, lift, lift. Inhale at the top, exhale, lower it back down. And again, inhale, exhale, inhale at the top, exhale, and relax. We're going to bring our hands back down towards our shoulders, and then I just want you to push back into a shell stretch. So we're going to sit back onto our heels. Our head is going to hang nice and low, and then we're going to inhale and we're going to round the back up. So I want you to maintain contact between your bum and your heels, and you're going to maintain contact between your hands and the mat, and then you're going to lift up as high as you can. So keep the head nice and low, keep the seat nice and low, round out the back and get it as high up towards the ceiling as you can. And we're just going to take a second in this position to just relax the back, Take one more nice deep breath here. And then on your next inhale, whenever you're ready, we're just going to roll up. Nice deep breath, very, very slowly to avoid a head rush. Come all the way up to the top. And breathe out. For our next exercise, we're going to do the 100. So come down onto the mat. And we're going to start in the exact same position that we were in for the ab prep. So we're lying on the mat. We're in neutral. We're going to bring our legs up to tabletop. We're going to inhale. And then as we exhale, we're going to come up away from the mat. And now we're in imprint. So we squish the grape. Our legs are in tabletop. Our hands are hovering. We're going to inhale and pulse the arms. And exhale for 5. And inhale. Exhale. We're going to keep this going. So keep flapping your hands up and down, but keep the chest open. So again, just the same as with the ab prep, don't let the shoulders come up and do this. Keep the chest open, keep the neck extended. We're looking up towards where our toes are. And I want you to keep focusing on suctioning the abs down towards the spine. So don't let them bulge upwards. Use the transversus abdominis to pull them down and keep them nice and flat. We're about halfway now. So we're going to increase the challenge and we're going to extend the legs away. If you're struggling with this, just go back to tabletop. And if you're really struggling, you can lower it down a little bit. But if you can, stay nice and high, keep the legs extended, keep flapping those arms. I probably shouldn't say flapping. It doesn't sound controlled enough, but it is essentially a flapping motion. Wafting, like there's a campfire underneath your feet and you're trying to get it hotter by wafting some air onto it. And we're nearly there. Few more pulses and pause. And then we're going to bring the feet in and then we're going to lower the body down and then we're going to drop one leg down and then the other, and the arms can relax. And just take a breather there because you've earned it. So next, we're going to do the half roll back. So just grab hold of one leg and bring yourself up to a comfortable seated position. So our feet are going to be a hip's distance apart, our knees are going to be a hip's distance apart. We're going to sit up on our sit bones and then we're going to come all the way forwards. So a lot like we were in the breathing position at the start. So we're looking down between our legs. The key thing here is throughout this whole exercise, we're going to maintain the C curve through the back. We're going to lift the arms up so that they're parallel to the ground, and we're going to keep our arms parallel to the ground throughout the exercise. We're going to inhale, and then as we exhale, we're going to come back. Inhale, come forwards. Exhale, roll back. So you can see the shape of my back isn't changing and the shape of my legs isn't changing. And I'm going as far back as I can manage without my feet lifting off. So just as I get to the back here, you can see my toes just wanting to lift up and away. So that's where I finish, and then I come back forwards. So we're exhaling, coming back, inhaling, coming forwards, and I want you to imagine there's a line on the ground between your legs that extends all the way forwards into infinity. So as we go back, we're looking along that line until we're looking at the horizon, and then as we come forwards, our eye line tracks along it until we're looking between our knees. All the way back, and all the way forwards. One more. Forwards again. And then finally, we're going to roll the whole way down so that we're lying long on the mat with our legs extended. So if you have a pole, this is the time to grab it. If you don't have a pole, as I mentioned at the start, you can just grab a towel and pull on it. We're going to start with our arms extended up above our head, and we're going to do the roll up. So note that my toes are pointed up towards the ceiling. My feet aren't particularly tensed up, and my legs aren't particularly tense. I'm just engaging my leg muscles as much as necessary to keep my toes facing upwards. We're going to inhale, pole's going to come up, and once we hit 90 degrees, we're going to start exhaling and peeling the spine up and away from the mat, and then we're going to reach towards our toes. Then we're going to inhale and start coming back, and then exhale, start rolling down. So as we come up to the top, there'll be a point where we've sort of reached maximum C curvedness. And at this point here, I need to start extending forwards. As we go back, inhaling, I'm going to start my exhale at the point where I can no longer go any further back without laying my spine down on the ground. So my indicator is when my pelvis starts to tip back. That's when I'm going to start my exhale. So inhale to 90, exhale and peel. Reach towards your toes, fold yourself in half. Inhale, start coming back. And then as your pelvis starts to tilt, start your exhale. And then as you lay the upper body down, maintain that 90-degree interior line flat, and then lift the arms up. We're going to do one more of these. Exhale, exhale, exhale. Up, 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 and reach. All the way down. And then lay down on the mat. And your pole can go to one side, because we're not going to need it again. Our next exercise is going to be the one-leg circle. So for this, if you have your circle, Pilates circle, you're going to grab it now. If you don't have a Pilates circle, you're going to do the exact same exercise, but with your arms out to the side like so. If you do have one, you're going to have one leg straight and then bring the other one up, point it towards the ceiling. We're in a neutral position here. We're holding the circle above our chest or arms out to the side. We're going to inhale, leg comes out, exhale, cross the body and up. As I inhale, we pull on the circle. As I exhale, we squeeze it. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. If you're struggling to get your leg up towards the ceiling, then you can bend the resting leg, and that'll give you a little bit more room to move. And then if you're really struggling, you can bend the moving leg as well and keep that flexed. But if you can, the goal is to have both legs nice and straight. Inhaling and exhaling, squeezing and pulling. We're going to change directions now. So as we inhale, leg comes across the body, still pulling on the circle, exhale, squeezing the circle. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. So every time we inhale, we're pulling on the circle. Every time we exhale, we're squeezing on it. And lower that leg down. And now we're going to lift up the other one. And we're going to do the exact same thing. Out to the side, inhale, cross the body, exhale. Inhale, pull, exhale, squeeze. We're maintaining neutral. So the goal here is to keep the pelvis nice and level. So I only want you to draw the biggest circle you can while maintaining that neutral position. And now we're going to change direction. So we're going to inhale, cross the body down, exhale away from the body up. Inhale, pull, exhale, squeeze. Keep the pelvis nice and level. So don't let that grape get squished underneath you. Don't spill the soup off to the side. And then we're just going to rest the leg down and we're going to put the circle to one side. For our next exercise, we're going to do the spine twist. So if you have got some kind of a pad or a cushion, then it would be a good idea to grab hold of it now. We're going to place that up at the head of the mat, and then we're going to sit on it. We're going to bring our arms up like an aeroplane. I want you to just be able to see your fingers in your peripheral vision. We're going to inhale, sit nice and tall, and then as we exhale,
we're going to rotate around. Inhale, sit nice and tall. Exhale, other side. So throughout this whole exercise, I want you to focus on keeping your lumbar spine as neutral as possible, sitting as tall and straight as possible. And now as we go to the sides, we're going to introduce a little pulse. So from the center, exhale, 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 to the center, exhale, exhale, exhale. So I'm twisting a little bit further around, sitting a little bit taller on each pulse, and then back to the center. Sit tall and pulse, pulse, pulse. So it's at this point in the exercise normally that you'll find your back has rounded out a little bit and you're sinking back. So just remind yourself to sit nice and tall, keep pushing your chest out in front of you, keep rolling those shoulders down your back. One more on each side, even ourselves out. And sit tall. Rest the arms down. Shoulders should be a little bit sore by now. And then the block can go to one side again. Next up, we have rolling like a ball. So for this one, you're going to want to scooch all the way down to the end of the mat. And again, we're going to start pretty much in our breathing position. So we are going to do a full roll, but just as a little prep for it, what I want you to try is inhaling, rolling back a little, exhaling, sitting up nice and tall. So the feet are staying on the mat. As we exhale, we come back, and as we inhale, we come up. And I just want you to focus on getting that sensation of the inhale causing your weight to shift back. So for the full exercise, we're going to lift our feet up away from the mat, and then we're going to curl up like a little ball. As we inhale, we come back, exhale, come up. And your goal, as you come forwards and backwards, is to try and pause without slamming your feet down on the mat. So we're trying to control the breath as much as we can so that we naturally halt. Also, it's really important that you don't kick with your legs. So you're not throwing your legs back over your head and throwing them forwards to help you get up and down. This is all being done with the breath. And think about that erector spinae muscle again, or muscles, two of them. So as you go back, they're kind of like tracks that we're rolling along. So if you can feel yourself kind of rolling side to side, it might be because there's a little bit of lateral curvature to your spine. So just try and consciously straighten that out and roll as straight forwards and backwards as you can. And I see a lot of people who really struggle with this one. They struggle with maintaining the C curve. They don't have that strength to hold it, so as they come back, they do this and just flatten. So you have to really engage with the abdominals to maintain the curve so that you can roll forwards and backwards nice and evenly. And the goal isn't to go particularly far. You don't have to go all the way back and get your legs over your head. Just go as far as you can. We're going to do one more just for fun. And then the feet can go down and we're going to come all the way down onto the mat. We're going to grab hold of the circle again. Again, if you don't have a circle, then I will talk you through the hand movement. People without a circle are going to have to put up with a little bit of coordination. If you do have the circle, we're going to do the exact same thing as we did earlier with the one leg circle. So every time you inhale, you're going to pull. Every time you exhale, you're going to squeeze. So for people with circles, that's you set up. Inhaling and exhaling, pulling and squeezing. If you don't have a circle, we're going to do the full exercise. Did I say we're doing obliques? We're going to do single leg stretch first, but it's the same thing with the arms. So we're going to lift our feet up to tabletop. Hands are going to be on either side. So take a nice inhale, exhale here, and then as you inhale, you're going to bring this arm out towards the ankle. Sorry, as you exhale, you're going to bring this arm to the ankle, this hand across the knee. Inhale together, exhale, switch. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. So again, if you've got your circle, you're going to be pulling and squeezing at this point. If you don't, then you're going to be doing the hands. So as I say, requires a bit of coordination, but you're essentially doing the same motion with your hands as you are with your feet, because your hands are essentially just doing this, which is exactly what your feet are doing. They're just reciprocating forwards and backwards. So be conscious of your neck in this position. It's very tempting to either let the head drift back or tuck your chin in. Keep the neck lengthened, and if you're struggling with that, then just lower your head down to the ground. If you have something like an arc barrel, obviously you can wedge that underneath your shoulders, but they cost like £200 and most people don't have them lying around the house. We're going to do one more of these, and once we're evened out, we're going to return to centre. Don't put your feet down, keep them in the air, because next we're doing obliques. So from this position, for the obliques, we're going to bring our hands up towards our temples. The leg movement is the same, so one leg goes away, and then you're going to bring the opposite elbow to the knee that's in. So if you don't have a circle, this will be your motion, just forwards and backwards, side to side. If you do have a circle, treat yourself. You're going to have the arms extended, and instead of rolling to the side with your hands by your temples, you're going to extend the circle down by your knees. So we're going to inhale in this position, exhale, roll across, inhale up, exhale down, inhale up, exhale down. So if you're using your arms like this, it's really tempting for you to roll the whole way across, and then your pelvis is no longer imprinted on the mat. So make sure as you come across, you're only reaching as far as you can while maintaining that solid imprint. If you don't have a circle, same thing applies, but we're dropping one elbow to the ground, and then the other elbow is coming across to the knee. And also make sure the knee that comes in is actually coming in towards the chest. You're not just stopping halfway. Lots of people don't go beyond tabletop, so they're just doing this with their legs instead of reciprocating the whole way. So one leg is extending away, and the other knee is coming in towards the chest. Even ourselves out, and back to the centre. Don't drop the feet yet. So finally, to complete the ab series, we're going to do the double leg stretch. If you have a circle, then you're going to place it between your ankles. If you don't have a circle, it doesn't really make a difference. It's the exact same motion. The only difference is, circle people, you're going to be giving a little squeeze. So we're going to inhale, hands and legs go away, exhale, circle them round. Inhale away, exhale, circle. So again, be mindful of the head. Don't let it tilt all the way back. Don't scrunch the chin. Neck stays extended, and if you're struggling, lower the head down, reach the arms away. Beware, if you lower the head down to take the strain off the neck, it does make life trickier for your abs, which now have a bit more weight to deal with. One more, because my abs really hurt now, and I don't want to keep doing these exercises. And rest there. Now, finally, you can lower the head and then lower the feet down. Circle can go away. I'm pretty sure we don't need it again. And then take a little breather because you've earned it. So our next exercise, I'll talk you through it while you're getting your breath back, will be scissors. So we're in a similar position as before. We are going to have our head up off the mat, but this isn't nearly as intense on our abs because we're going to be using our arms to assist us. So when you're ready, bring your knees to a tabletop position, and then we're going to extend our legs up towards the ceiling. If you're struggling to get the legs nice and straight, don't worry, because we're going to lift our upper body up away from the mat, holding onto the back of our knees, and that should assist most people in getting their legs nice and straight. So from this position, nice deep inhale, and then as you exhale, we're going to bring both arms across to one calf. This leg drops, this one comes in. Inhale together, exhale, switch. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Keep it going. So this exercise is very good for your hip mobility, especially if you want to do anything, I mean, like the roll up we did earlier. If you were struggling to reach down and touch your toes, this is good exercise for improving that mobility in the hip and the lumbar spine to get you a little bit lower. And now we're going to introduce a little bit of a pulse. So the leg that comes in, you're going to pulse in closer to you. The leg that reaches away, you're going to reach a little bit further away. So we're going to inhale and then exhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale, exhale. Keep it going. Again, keep the neck nice and long. If you're struggling, lower the head down. It will cause your hamstrings to get a little bit tighter, but you can just bend the knee that comes in to assist there. Don't pull on the back of the knee, it's quite uncomfortable. Just pull on the calf, and we're not jamming the knee in towards us, we're just guiding the leg in, and then release it. Last one, even yourself out, and legs come to tabletop, lower yourself down, lower the feet. So now we're going to do our shoulder bridge prep. You're going to have your heels a little bit closer in towards your seat than you would normally. Our arms are going to be up by our side. Normally when I do this one, I like to have my hands a little bit wider than the mat. And then you can push down and engage the triceps a little bit more. So the chest is nice and open. We're in a neutral position. We're going to inhale at the bottom, and as we lift our pelvis up, we're going to maintain neutral. So unlike the hip roll at the start, where we were in neutral, rolled through imprint and then lifted, we're going to start in neutral, lift in neutral, and then come down in neutral. So our back is going to stay completely flat the whole way up, the whole way down. And I want you to focus on the 4 points, your hips and your shoulders lifting off simultaneously and touching down simultaneously. So from here we're going to inhale, exhale, lift up, inhale, exhale, lower down. So we're not using the glutes here to perform the lift, but when you get to the top, they will probably squeeze just a little bit, and that's fine. So again, it's not like the hip roll where I want you to keep them relaxed throughout. We can lift the whole way up, and the glutes can just tense a tiny bit at the top to assist, but I want them to ease off immediately as soon as you start to lower. So again, we're doing this all with the lower back muscles and the hamstrings now. And we're going to challenge that position slightly. So as you lower down, sorry, what am I talking about? As you lift up, we're going to inhale at the top, and then you're going to exhale, lift the foot off a couple of inches, lower it down, inhale, exhale, inhale, lower, and then exhale, lower the whole body down. So as those feet lift off, we're not doing big gigantic steps, we're just lifting it off a couple of inches, lowering it back down. And you'll feel sort of contralateral tension across the body. So as this foot lifts up, this shoulder will want to lift up as well. And we're going to make sure that we keep pressing down through the arms, opening out the chest to prevent that. One more, inhale, exhale, lift, inhale, exhale, right foot, Inhale, lower, exhale, left foot, inhale, lower, and then lower the whole body down. The last exercise that we're going to do is going to be our roll over prep. So for this one, we're going to lift the legs up towards tabletop. We're going to cross one ankle over the other, bring the knees out to the side so that our legs form a diamond shape, and then we're going to bring our hands down towards our sides. The goal here is I want you to imagine you're trying to touch your toes onto your forehead. So you're trying to lift them up and over. So we're just peeling our spine up and away from the mat. One of the things that I see people do very often with this exercise is they use the legs to lift them the whole way up and they're kicking up into the motion. I don't want you to do that. So the legs aren't going to move at all. We're just going to squeeze with the abs to lift the hips up and the legs will tilt over automatically, but we're not moving the legs around. So inhale, exhale, squeeze. Inhale, lower, exhale, lift and squeeze. So it's a very intense abdominal exercise. There's a lot of force going through the abdominals to perform this. We'll do one more, and then we're going to uncross the ankles, recross them the other way, and then do the same. 4 or 5 on the other side. It'll feel a little bit awkward because you're used to having your legs crossed in one way, and as soon as you try and switch it around and do it the other way, it feels very odd. One more. And relax. So that completes our entire workout for the day. To finish off, I just want to do a little bit of a cool down. And this isn't particularly a Pilates thing, it's more just a me thing. And I find it really helps, and the people that come to my class say that it really helps as well. I'm going to be using one of these little stability balls. If you don't have one, that's absolutely fine. Just grab a big cushion or whatever you've got lying around. A rolled up mat works really well as well. So if you have one of these mats, a second one, because obviously everyone just has 2 lying around the house, then we can use one of those for what we're going to be doing. So you're going to come down onto the mat, you're going to come up into a shoulder bridge, place whatever you've got underneath your lower back, and then just relax down gently. Relax the arms out to the side, and then if you feel comfortable to do so, and if it doesn't cause you any discomfort or pain, I just want you to slide your heels out and away. So the goal here is to find a position in which you can lie still without any part of your body having to exert any force to hold you in that position, so that you can completely relax every muscle in your body and you won't move anywhere. So you should feel completely secure and stable, and you shouldn't be putting any effort at all into this position. So you can hold this for as long as you need. If you want to pause the video, feel free to do so. As I said, this isn't particularly a Pilates thing. This is more something, it's a bit like doing Shavasana at the end of yoga. I find after you've done, because Pilates is so intense on the core, and you're doing a lot of work for a whole hour just around this area mostly, even though there are some peripheral movements as well, it's quite nice at the end to just let those muscles completely relax. So we're just going to hold this position, and I just want you to focus on kind of melting over the top of the ball. Again, if you want to pause the video and hold it for longer, feel free to do so. We're just going to hold it, I don't know, 2 minutes. 5 minutes is probably the ideal. It's a real kind of developmental stretch, and it gets all of the tension out of the whole anterior chain of the body. So when you feel like you've had enough, we're going to leave this position exactly as we entered it. So please don't attempt to heave yourself up out of this. You might cause yourself some damage. We're just going to slowly bring one heel in, and then the other heel in,
And now we're in a good safe position to come up into a bridge, and then we can just pull the ball out from underneath us. Lower it down, and then we're going to do the exact same thing on the other side. So we've relaxed the anterior chain. Did I say posterior before? It doesn't matter. We've relaxed the anterior chain. Now we're going to work on the posterior chain. So just swing yourself around, and we're going to do a shell stretch. Normally when you do a shell stretch as part of the workout, it's very active, so you're lifting the back up. The reason I want you to have some kind of a bolster or a cushion or whatever you've got available is so that you can relax over the top of it and get that shape without having to put the effort in of lifting your back. So if you do have a little ball, a football works quite well if you've got like a little one that's a bit squishy. Just wedge it into your lap, and then we're just going to fall down over the top of it. And once you get into this position, you can have your arms down by your sides or out in front, whatever feels comfortable. And again, you're just going to try and relax as much as you can. And focus on the neck, because it's very tempting to hold your head up. I have to a little bit because I'm trying to talk, but try and just completely relax the head so it's hanging down all the way towards the mat. And just breathe as deep as you can. Keep relaxing, melting over the top of your cushion or your ball, or whatever it is you found to wedge in there. And again, if you want, you can pause the video and just hold this position for as long as you want. We're just going to do 2 or 3 minutes, mostly just because it feels nice. And then again, when you're ready, just shift your weight back towards your heels and walk your hands in. And then very, very slowly push yourself back up and sit nice and tall. Take a nice deep breath and just relax. And that is us all done. So, hopefully you enjoyed that, and I look forward to seeing you again next time.